All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the hidden architect behind literally the very technologies that power our entire modern world. We're looking at the life and mind of a man whose ideas were so far ahead of his time, honest to God, the world is only just now catching up to him. To really wrap your head around the magnitude of his impact, I want you to picture your daily routine completely stripped of Wi-Fi. Seriously, imagine it. No smartphone buzzing in your pocket, no reliable electric grid to even power your home. We treat all these conveniences like modern miracles, right? They're basic utilities we just take for granted every single day. But, they didn't just appear out of thin air. Way back in the year 1900, one mysterious genius had actually already foreseen all of these advancements. Think about that. He predicted that not only would we be able to wirelessly communicate voice across the entire globe, but pictures too. He was literally describing the smartphone over a century before it was sitting in your hand. And that man was Nikola Tesla. Part 1, The War of Currents, Elegance versus Brute Force. To see exactly how this brilliant mind shaped our reality, we've got to jump back to the late 19th century, right into what famously became known as the War of Currents. During this era, two absolute titans of industry clashed. On one side, we've got Thomas Edison, who was championing direct current. Our source details how Edison's DC system was essentially brute force. It relied on these massive, thick cables running just 100 volts, which created huge magnetic fields. And when Edison felt his profit-driven model was being threatened, well, he actually resorted to publicly electrocuting animals just to make his rival's technology look dangerous. Then, on the other side, we have Nikola Tesla. He saw the glaring flaws in DC and developed alternating current, using these incredibly elegant polyphase motors. Tesla was focused purely on efficiency and the actual physics of energy. He was totally unburdened by the limitations of Edison's rigid thinking. 27 million people. That's the mind-blowing number of visitors who flooded into the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. They just stood there in total awe as Tesla's alternating current system lit up the entire fairgrounds. It was one of the largest electric light displays the world had ever seen up to that point. In that single moment, by replacing dirty, individual coal-fired plants with clean electric motors, Tesla proved the impossible was actually real. He became a massive global superstar, and his fame arguably eclipsed even Edison's. Part 2, Inside a Genius Mind. Energy, frequency, and vibration. So, how exactly did this unconventional brain of his actually work? Well, Tesla's whole process was entirely unconventional. He claimed his inventions came to him in blinding flashes of light, which were often accompanied with really severe migraines. In these flashes, he could visualize a device in such intricate, perfect detail that he literally never needed to draw blueprints to build it. A major key to his worldview was his absolute belief in something called the ether. Now, while modern physics later shifted away from this concept, Tesla firmly believed we are all surrounded by an energetic substrate. He viewed the human brain not really as a generator of consciousness, but more like a mechanical antenna. An antenna capable of tapping into a universal core of knowledge and just downloading incredible information. Tesla famously asserted that to figure out the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. According to him, everything is a frequency. The human eye detects light at hundreds of terahertz, while we hear things at a much lower range. But take a look at the Earth itself. It has a natural frequency of around 7.83 hertz. And get this, a completely relaxed or meditative human brain functions at that exact same wave pattern, 7.83 hertz. Tesla truly believed that by controlling his mind and mastering his own frequencies, he could tune into the Earth and the universe itself.
Part 3. The Wireless Energy Dream. The Wardenclyffe Tower. This really profound understanding of planetary frequencies led directly to his most ambitious undertaking ever, which kicked off in 1901.
You see, Tesla wasn't just trying to transmit radio signals. He wanted to transmit actual, usable electrical power across the entire globe. Step 1 of his plan, his Wardenclyffe Tower would send electrical impulses directly down into the Earth. Step 2, because he believed the Earth is a conductor of unlimited dimensions, it would behave like a vast ocean, rippling these energy waves across the globe without ever losing its natural frequency. And then step 3, anyone, anywhere, could simply use a receiver about the size of a pocket watch to tap right into this limitless power. Just try to grasp the monumental scale of this dream for a second. Tesla envisioned a world where this wireless system would power our houses, cars, trains, and even airplanes mid-flight. There'd be zero need for digging, no need for fossil fuels, and absolutely no massive corporations monopolizing our resources. He wanted to harness the Earth's natural conductivity to provide a free, endless source of energy to all of humanity. It would have effectively ended our reliance on fossil fuels entirely. Part 4. Erased from history. Profit over progress. It was such a beautiful humanitarian vision, but as our source outlines, the establishment reacted pretty ruthlessly to the idea of a world where energy was free. His massive financial backer, J.P. Morgan, perfectly summed up the establishment's resistance here. Morgan had originally invested in Tesla to secure a profitable monopoly on wireless communication, but when Tesla confessed his true end goal to transmit unlimited amounts of energy to everyone for free, Morgan completely balked. The very second he realized that wireless, unmetered energy couldn't be quantified and sold for profit, he completely pulled his financial support. He essentially left the Wardenclyffe project to die. From there, Tesla's downfall was incredibly rapid and honestly pretty tragic. While he struggled desperately for funds, his rival Guglielmo Marconi sent a transatlantic radio message, using Tesla's own patents by the way, and was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1909. By 1915, deeply in debt, Tesla lost his beloved Wardenclyffe property to the heirs of the Waldorf Astoria, who later literally blew up his tower just to sell it for scrap metal. The brilliant mind that lit the Chicago World's Fair ultimately died alone and penniless in a New York hotel room in 1943. You can only imagine the unbearable frustration he must have felt, watching his foundational ideas be turned into massive corporate monopolies while he was just cast aside. His work was systematically co-opted. Powerful entities utilized his genius while completely sidelining the man himself. As the source material details, his patents were used to help form the highly profitable RCA Corporation. His foundational work on wireless communication was quietly picked up by the Naval Research Lab under military supervision. Meanwhile, rather than being celebrated, his political sympathies were being actively monitored by FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. He was painted as an eccentric crank in the press, which effectively erased him from the history books for decades. Part 5. A future finally realized, vindicated by the 21st century. But history has a funny way of course correcting, which brings our narrative right back to the present day. The source material impartially notes that our current global reliance on fossil fuels and coal has led to a real cascade of severe climate events. We're talking extreme weather, acidifying oceans, and rapidly melting ice sheets that are pushing humanity to a breaking point. But the fascinating takeaway here is that this entire crisis is exactly what Tesla's wireless renewable energy systems were designed to prevent over a century ago. The crises of the 21st century are finally forcing us to adopt the very technologies he proposed way back then. Tesla was truly the father of renewable energy. Think about it. When you see an electric car on the road today, it's literally driven by the three-phase motor he invented. When we utilize hydroelectric power like the massive systems he pioneered at Niagara Falls, we're utilizing the exact eco-conscious engineering he championed. He proved you don't need to burn mountains of coal to power society. You can actually work with the natural renewable cycles of the planet. It's a bitter irony that his vindication started so late. 1943. That is the exact year Nikola Tesla died. And it was in that very same year that the U.S. Supreme Court finally recognized that Tesla's patents formally predated Marconi's radio claims. It was just the first step in a very, very slow process of restoring his rightful place in history. Despite the greed, the smear campaigns, and the total financial ruin, Tesla kept his integrity right up until his last breath. He profoundly understood that his genius was simply too far ahead of his contemporaries. He perfectly captured this in a powerful quote: "Let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs. The future, for which I have really worked, is mine." Which brings us to the ultimate question for you to consider as we wrap up this explainer. We are absolutely living in that future he worked for. We have the internet, the smartphones, the electric vehicles. But Tesla believed that to truly tap into limitless shared energy, humanity first needed to fundamentally change its consciousness. We had to move past greed and war. So I'll leave you with this. Now that the technology is finally here, have we actually achieved the maturity required to embrace Tesla's ideal world? Or